The one thing AI is not going to replace is the human connection. I understood that if I can add value to someone like Tony Robbins, it means that I can add value to anyone in the world.
You knew you had to make 500 calls a day?
Wolf of Wall Street, huh? AI is also replacing a lot of people in our lives. AI can become a girlfriend or a boyfriend.
If we don't focus ourselves, we cannot support our family.
But to me, there's something so much more powerful in a cup of tea than a shot of vodka. What's your favorite drink?
Martini? Well, first of all, Gil, it's a pleasure to be able to sit down and just really converse. So my point of, what we're going to do today is something that we've been planning for, I guess, a long time, just to be able to sit down without having any drinks today, but to be able to sit down and talk about life, talk about future, talk about our intent, things that we want to do. I know we both would love to change this world and to a better place, and the world needs changes to a better place. And I think the world needs people like ourselves to help people maybe lead in some point, but to help people maybe open their eyes on things that they maybe just cannot reach or cannot understand. And I think that our experience, life hacks, give us an opportunity to deliver something really positive to the world. So this conversation is something that I think at the end we want to make a statement, some form of statement, how we see the changes, what it is that you and I can do together separately to help this world be a better place.
I love this. Thank you for doing it, and thank you for this initiative of giving back to the world. I know how busy you are and how much you're doing in your life right now, in the community with your family on a global level. So having such conversations that you are willing to also record and put them out socially and give it back to the world, giving the hacks, and in a way it's offering mentorship freely to the world, which I've always been a big fan of.
Thank you. And your background, maybe a couple of words. I know you have an extensive background in many areas of the world, but I think that what I'm seeing in your focus now is basically what we are going to talk about today. So maybe a couple of words about that.
So background is quite diverse. I've lived in 7 countries and I've had 20 plus successful failures in businesses. So serial entrepreneur from a very early age. I've always been fascinated with how we connect as human beings. So I've taken it upon myself for years now to study the arts and sciences of human networking. And with, behind me, I've produced over 2,000 events around the world. And because of that, I've learned how people connect and disconnect and how we try to build strategic partnerships or joint ventures and where things go right and where things go wrong. Today, I'm very focused on the world of human connection through a cup of tea. And we do that for a government organization, for a lot of entrepreneurial events. Some corporations want to find more meaningful ways of bringing communities together. And I found that having a cup of tea, which we should have actually in front of us right
tea,
now.
please.
Yeah. It's a really wonderful way to bring people into more presence. I've just seen myself waste so many times meeting incredible people and trying to connect with them using old ways of connecting, using old codes, using these programs of how we need to have small talk and how we show up in events, and people waste their times a lot. And we're now in the world where wasting time we cannot afford anymore. So I like that I'm able to be very clear with how much time I've actually wasted in my life serving the wrong people or doing random businesses just for money. And today I'm very focused and very purpose-driven, and I love doing things like this because it allows me to be even more clear where it is that I want to go and what kind of collaborations I need to do it.
I want to talk for a few minutes maybe about people that impacted our world. And I know that, to me, there's been, people all along the the road that actually had an impact on my life, and that went through maybe art and business and negotiations, and I can separately say, okay, this person actually had a positive impact. I know you're a big fan and big follower of Tony Robbins, and I know and I do truly understand that had quite a big impact on where you are and how you structure things. Maybe a couple of words about that.
Yeah, I found it early on in my life that my parents were not my role models, and it was really not easy to say. They're amazing people. I love my parents very, very much, but I learned that neither one of them was the kind of entrepreneur that I wanted to one day become. And from an early age, I started looking for other role models out there, and I didn't know what mentorship really meant, but at the age of 18, I saw my first infomercial of Tony Robbins. I was like, wow, this is a cool guy. I love how he's motivating me. And I started looking at all these different mentors and speakers out there. And for over a decade, I followed many speakers and mentors and coaches out there in the world, one day wanting to be more like them. At the age of 33, so 13 years ago, I understood that I needed a big shift in my life. I had too many companies. None of them were doing exactly what I wanted them to do. They were not going in my direction. Things were very, very uncomfortable. And someone said to me, you need a coach. And I was like, yes. And someone's like, you love Tony Robbins. Go and see him live. You've been watching him on videos all these years. Couldn't really afford to go to his event. Found a way to become a promoter for him. And then we ended up bringing a small group from Russia actually to his event, became the first promoter for Tony Robbins from Russia. And that was a really interesting journey. Within 4 years, we became the biggest promoter in the world for Tony Robbins. We helped bring people, thousands and thousands of people to his events every single year in different parts of the world. When Tony came to Moscow, well, we invited him to Moscow. We put 26,000 people in front of him. And along that journey of serving someone that I wanted to learn from, I understood that one of my best missions has been to identify some of the most outstanding people in the world, find ways of meeting them, not just following them, but really find ways of meeting them, learn from them as much as possible. Like many entrepreneurs out there, I did not do well in school. So I had to find ways of learning from people, like finding my teachers in life. And then I wanted to find ways of adding value to them. So just taking from them is not fair. I understood that if I can add value to someone like Tony Robbins, it means that I can add value to anyone in the world, like really anyone. And I started giving myself these challenges of like, find these incredible people in the world that have achieved so much, that are teaching me and teaching everyone in the world how to have a better life and add value to them. And that took me on a really beautiful journey of like meeting these billionaires and kings and top coaches in the world and adding massive value to them using these new, what I call quantum networking codes.
What is it about Tony Robbins? What do you think that main character is? This is storytelling. What? Let's say you, as someone that will approach someone to capture them, to capture their interest, to capture. What is it that Tony Robbins delivered or coached you that you think that changed the approach and changed the ability of people to connect and so on?
He had some influence, definitely, but I also had someone like Eckhart Tolle that I spent a lot of time with, who wrote the book, The Power of Now, who taught me about being present with someone much, much more. Tony taught me a lot about body language. Like all of us, I'm sure you have some amazing mentors who gave you maybe even more than teachers, who gave you more than your parents. I don't want to say that Tony gave me more than my parents. My parents gave me life. They gave me food. They gave me education. They gave me so much, and they still give me so much love today. No one can beat the amount of love that my parents gave me.
Unconditional love.
But Tony gave me hacks of life. He gave me hacks of business. He helps me understand, for example, where focus goes, energy flows. He helps me understand about constantly raising the standards of how I do things in life. So because I've done so many events in my life, imagine the standards I have today for, the way I host an event.
Right.
Imagine the standards I have, the way an event is actually planned. And that's why when I go into networking, I see so much detail on how people connect and disconnect. It's the same thing as yourself. You know, you have so much detail that you see when it comes to developing a beautiful set of villas, or when it comes to negotiation. I know not many people in the world could beat the way you're negotiating. You must have had someone who inspired you to negotiate at that level. Who is that for you?
You know what? I think that in large, in terms of negotiation, it's self-taught. And I think that the diversity of knowledge, okay, and feeling comfortable with myself is very, very important, and something that actually I think grew inside because you know I've done so many different things in life, and it's in art, and it's in sports, and in education, in finance. I think it's a comfort that came by itself, just of holding, you know, amounts of knowledge inside that you will never not be able to, at least smartly, not completely answer any question or any issue that will arise. So I am, you know, I spend my day, I wake up, I spend an hour reading the news. I go to sleep. Before I go to sleep, I spend about 30 minutes just to update myself with what's happening in the world. And not just saying it's looking at political news, but really digging, like seeing, I don't know, maybe something interesting happened in sports. What happened in sports, right? I'm not the greatest fan of sport. I love sports. I've done sports all my life. I mean, everything. I almost have a black belt in karate. I played polo. I ride horses since I'm like 5 years old. I dive. I am a master diver. I've done 90 meters dives. I've done cave dives. So I think that this life experience, something that created the comfort and ability to maybe properly tell the story, get people to listen to you, right? Not just being a speaker, but being a listener, I think is very, very important.
I think life gives us a lot of that, but brother, come on, it's so nice to be able to give credit where credit is due.
Well, Jordan Belfort.
I met him.
Jordan Belfort was one of the people, but
the Wolf of Wall Street.
He was one of the people. First of all, I'm an art graduate, so I graduated in Parsons School of Design with a degree in architecture. I did a lot in fashion. I had a line of women's clothing. We published called Key magazine. It's a fashion magazine in New York. I wrote once a prognosis for American Vogue about the new styles. I did photo shoots with Steven Meisel, Iman. So I had this whole art world piece of me, and I think that helped me a lot in my life as well because of this creative background. And then I never thought that I would work on Wall Street. And so I started in business I was 17. I took my girlfriend to dinner in the city with a limousine at 17 years old. Plaza Hotel. So I was an entrepreneur all my life. Right, and I come from a line of entrepreneurs. My family, my father, my mother. By the way, sorry about the parents not having that business impact. But my mother is probably one of the big impacts in my life. She's 95. She still goes to her business. She built one of the largest preschool companies in New York City. She continues to be like a driver at 95. And I say to myself, this is where I want to be. I never want to stop, okay? And maybe that is one of the reasons why I'm still involved in a lot of different things, not because this may be approach, so I don't know where the money is going to come from. I'm comfortable. I'm good.
You got serious shoes to fill, brother.
Right? but at the same time, and in some way, it's helping the world, right? Because my venture investments, my even the investments with partners, of what drives, and even in the real estate business, in large, maybe what drives the sales. I, in large, drive the sales because of my reputation and because I know how to talk to people. Exactly what you were saying, right? I know how to hold the conversation. I know how to get people to listen to me. So I don't know where that was going, but
No, it's okay. It's people that influence in our lives is very, very beautiful. And asking about Tony is one thing, but I think it's really as we go through life, we have different people. We're born into a family, and then as we're young, we have this network of people around us, maybe in schools or universities. And then at one stage, we outgrow them and we start moving around the networks. And what I have found since the age of 18, I moved out of the house. I found that through the journey, I constantly found people that I'm able to be inspired by very easily. I'm able to model people quite beautifully. I love connecting with people in different cultures. And it's this journey, I think, that brought us both to Bali. Bali is so diverse, not just the culture and the nature and the ecosystem that's here, but it's the amount of incredible people that we could find to connect with here. That's how we connected.
absolutely, absolutely. First of all, talking about investments, one of the investments of mine is in quantum computing, but you mentioned quantum codes.
Yeah,
This is
quantum
something I don't.
networking
What is
codes,
that? What is
yeah.
that?
So for me, quantum computer is something that is so deep. It's understanding that there is so much detail in what we're not seeing, and things can work so much faster than we can ever have imagined. When it comes to human connection, there's also a lot that we've not learned. There's also a lot of detail on how people connect. And for most people out there, are not necessarily as well traveled as you are, and they don't speak multiple languages, and they're not necessarily great at negotiation or communication. I had to break down networking into a quantum level, meaning that over the years, because I've lived in many different countries, I had to learn how to connect with different cultures. English is my third language, so I had to go through understanding how do you connect to people, being an immigrant, and I'm an introvert by nature, so I had to find what are my codes, what are the programs that I've been given by society and my family in order to find a way to connect with people. And you're saying you've done that naturally. You've kind of weaved through life, and we have these entanglements that we go through in the networks, and we find the opportunities. We go through successful failures. We go through uncomfortable situations. For me, quantum networking codes are the most detailed codes or the most detailed programs or habits that we might have as to how we connect with people. And it comes down to the mindset that we have when connecting with others. And most people don't really understand what mindset they're in at that moment when connecting with someone. So they're not necessarily being fully prepared when showing up in an interview, when showing up on a date. People are not as mindful when it comes to reconnecting. I've learned, like just auditing myself, on auditing my immediate companies, how we manage relationships. I don't know how you manage relationships, but most people are not very good at reconnecting and following up. So I had to start writing white papers about it, and I had some, KPMG, or the Latvian government has asked me to actually write down white papers on how people reconnect, how people follow up. What are those codes of building relationships, building strategic partnerships? How do you do it? What's your best hack for quantum networking with people?
So I think that this is one of the going back to Jordan Belfort, and my initial let's say initial.
By the way, have you met him?
I worked for him.
Okay.
I
I
worked.
didn't know
I
that
worked.
part.
I
Yeah.
worked for Stratton Oakmont for
Yeah,
3 months.
actually, I do remember that.
Four
You
months.
mentioned that at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was one of the wolves of Wall Street. It was they showed the garage, but there was no garage. There was a small office in.
Are you in the movie? Is there a character that's based after you?
No, I left too
Okay.
early. I actually left too early. So it was a short stopover, but I think it truly had an impact on my life. And I think that one of the greatest impacts was in structuring myself. So it's you had a daily procedure that you had to follow. So time management was the key to not only selling, not only telling a great story, which we were taught as well, but also the time management. So you knew you had to make 500 calls a day. You had out of these 500 calls a day, you had to convince at least 10 people that they would like to hear from you again, right? And then on closing, you had to at least close one account a day. So that was a must to be successful or to go to the next stage at Stratton Oakmont. And that put a huge impact in my life in terms of the time management. But also, I think one of my greatest hacks is people management. So I am great at managing people in terms of not just managing people, but managing partnerships. And managing partnership in the sense that I look for strength in my partners that I do not have, right? And each one, we're all very, very different. And if you note, like my partners throughout my business career are always been people that nothing like me, right? Absolutely nothing like me. So these were, people that were, mathematicians, physicians, people that did the analytical work. That's not me, right? I'm a people's person, and they understood my qualities always, right? So they understood my quality, which most of them they did not have. I mean, my partner of 15 years used to stand on the balcony and throw water balloons at people walking by. I mean, and he has masters in physics, in math, law degree. This kind of guy. So this was my partner who we have a venture fund, well, not venture, private equity fund that does distressed assets. So when we originally met our partner, for whom we were trying to buy one of the largest water bottling companies in Russian Federation, I brought in Pavel, and he annoyed the people so much that I was told like 5 times, please do not bring this guy here anymore. And I said, please. You have to learn who this guy is. You have to see who this guy. Give this some time. And now I only sit on the investment committee, but Pavel is the most active, and our partner cannot live without Pavel. Pavel is the key person in his life.
To me, this is a beautiful sign of someone who's gone very deep into studying relationships, and majority of people I see have not. And and I love how you connected it to time with your background with, the Wolf of Wall Street and this gang, because I believe that I've received a very big gift from the universe as time, and a very big gift from God as other people. And now what I got to do is be grateful for those gifts every single day. So I have time, this is amazing. And I have people in my life. So every single morning when I wake up, I like to very openly and vocally say thank you to key people that have come into my life, people that are in my life, people that are making a big difference in my life. I also like to actually say, hey, God, maybe you could bring me some of these different kind of people. Like, hey, I'm really looking for this type of person to come into my life this day or this week. Maybe an introduction will come in. And I really love the focus that you gave to helping others feel comfortable with someone that maybe they don't feel comfortable with. And most people would not do that. Most people don't have that ability to stay uncomfortable because they understand it's going to lead to something great.
Right.
Most people don't have the discipline to learn a musical instrument or to learn a sport. Like karate, you said you did for years. I did karate maybe for 6 months. I had no discipline to come to the class and do the same thing again and again and again.
I'm going back to school in January. So wow. Yeah, I'm going to take additional master classes at Wharton. So yeah, so I feel like
karate or
no. Actually, in management and innovation in the world of digital and AI.
That to me is also a discipline. It shows that this continuous student, which I love very much, and this is why I created this whole movement around quantum networking entanglements, saying to people that we've not learned how to connect with people. I don't know if you ever had a class in your school, how to make friends or how to change friends. I'm constantly teaching my kids how important it is to change friends.
Right.
If they're not comfortable with the friends they have, change your friends. And this is where relationships come in, that if you don't have the greatest relationships, the greatest partnerships, it's really good to feel uncomfortable and to look elsewhere. It's really beautiful to look at the world and so big. There's 8 billion people. I'm not stuck with these few people that I have. Let me go to a different gallery and look at some new art. I'm not stuck with the art I have around the house. Let me look at a different garden and some new plants that I can have around, because I'm not stuck in this one garden. Just because I planted these relationships in my life doesn't mean I'm stuck here. And I love that you're willing to be uncomfortable.
You bring up a very interesting point. I am willing to be uncomfortable. And believe you me, like being so different was my partner for 15 years. I mean, this is a guy that thinks everybody's stupid. Okay? I mean, and in a way, knowing the level of intelligence of this guy. So it's a small story. He was a little guy, gained weight, and I said, Pavel, you need to lose weight. I mean, it'll impact your heart. You're overactive. You cannot, you must lose weight. So he said, well, what do you think? I said, well, I mean, you should just read a book. A month later, he did lose a little weight, and I said, so did you read the book? He said, yeah, I went to a store, to a shop, and I bought 215 books, and I read all of them.
He took it seriously.
He took it seriously. What I meant by that is that I am a true committer to partnerships. And even though maybe I feel uncomfortable in some situation, and again, we're very, very different people, and I'm not the easiest person in the world also, easier than most of the people, but I start weighing things and saying, okay, so, we became partners for reasons, right? I chose this person, and this person chose me for a reason. And, I evaluate the strength of my partners, and I say, okay, I don't have these strengths. So if I break up the partnership, what is going to happen? So it's like it's the same way in the family. It's the same way, I think, in all of approaches in life. So that's how I approach partnerships and marriages, and maybe. So I've been married 3 times. So to say that I was correct.
Hey, you went through successful failures in relationships.
Absolutely, we all.
And I think there's a lot of respect and honor for someone who's gone through it and came out stronger. And hopefully the other partner also came out stronger. Myself also, I'm 2 years already in a conscious uncoupling with my partner, and it's only in the last 2 years that I've gone so deep into studying the beauty behind disconnecting with human beings. So something that we've not, again, been taught on how to let go of people in our lives. So most of us, I'll speak about myself, I've not had enough experience with death. So I don't know how to necessarily deal with death. I have a lot of experience in hiring and firing people. I have a lot of experience in leaving countries. It's very uncomfortable. Right now, the world is taking us through this journey. You said you're going to go and study right now more about AI. AI is, in a way, connecting us because it's giving us a lot more depth into how we can see more detail in people and detail on everything that's happening. But AI is also replacing a lot of people in our lives.
It will.
It
will.
People are already treating AI as a friend, as a psychologist, there's a lot of programs out there where AI can become a girlfriend or a boyfriend. There's things out there. Do you see something in the businesses that you're involved in where AI is already replacing people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In terms of marketing, in illegal, basically, I would say 90% consulting advice. Of course, in reality, it will never replace. One thing that will never replace, well, I should never say never. I mean, generative AI is coming as well. Actually, one of the projects I'm involved in has created a generative AI. So it's an AI that does not only answer, it actually talks to you, it tells you what to do, it tells you what you can. So very, very interesting part, but not the point. The point is, it will not replace salespeople.
It will not.
It will not replace salespeople.
I think it's already replacing salespeople.
It's replacing initiative, but it will not replace this.
Yeah, it will not replace sitting down and having tea with someone.
Not really tea, but it will not replace negotiation. Will not replace the depth ability to understand you in depth, to see your eyes, right? To see your smile,
oh, that's
to see your. Come
on.
That will take
yes.
still
a few years.
quite a long time, I
the,
think.
the one thing AI is not going to replace, which is why I love, meeting up with people, is the human connection.
Human connection.
For me, the experience that we get by connecting with people. That's why I love this movement that we have called Chatea. It's all about bringing
Yeah,
people into presence
you were
together.
talking about Chatea. Tell me more.
For me, I came to a point in my life when I turned 45 where I was questioning, why am I a serial entrepreneur? Why am I putting my energy in different businesses, I'm putting my money in different businesses? Why am I such a good coach helping all these other companies with strategy? Why am I a super connector bringing all these connections together? And I had to sit back and back and back. A little bit of plant medicine also helped me get a little bit of clarity to understand, what is this purpose that's been driving me in life? What is this mission that I want to be able to be known for, like a legacy that I want to leave behind? And it all came down to, well, everything I've been doing, all these businesses, all of these ventures, and I've been over 1,000 stages in my life as a speaker on the arts and sciences of human networking, and I understood that I needed to do something bigger. And it came down to understanding that a passion project of mine was all about helping people come around a mastermind and having a cup of tea. And we all have a history around getting a cup of tea from our mom or our grandmother to feel good. Maybe we have a cup of tea to heal. Maybe we have a cup of tea. Well, some people love their coffees, but tea has a history in all cultures in the world. And Chatea today is a tea-co system. It's a movement that's all about meaningful connections. It's all about facilitating presence with other people. And it's all about, right now, Chatea is educating others in the world. How do you serve someone a cup of tea in order to truly build a deep connection with them? And this is something I love that AI can never replace. AI can
Absolutely.
never serve you a cup of tea in order to build that human connection. And then they can fall in love with each other and negotiate with each other, sell something to each other, build friendship with each other, whatever develops. But to me, there's something so much more powerful in a cup of tea than a shot of vodka.
It
The
depends.
audience might not necessarily get it. They're like, no, Gil, of course, shot of vodka connects us. Well,
Maybe not one shot of vodka.
I lived in Russia for many, many, many years, so I've had enough shots of vodka. 13 years, I don't drink any alcohol. I have nothing against people who want to drink
This is after
alcohol.
Russia.
This is in Russia still.
No, still in Russia.
While in Russia,
Was it that bad?
I no, it was not. I went to my first Tony Robbins event, and at the end of the event, he gives us all a challenge for 10 days. And he said, cut some of these things out of your life just for 10 days and see how you feel. And in general, I'm a scientist. I love experimenting with business, with people. I love experimenting with myself, with my body. That's why I like biohacking so much. And networking is one big experiment. Like, can I meet the right person, and can I basically understand how with that person I can move forward in life, where I can find more love, I can find friendship, I can take my life to the next level. And Tony said one of the things to stop is try to stop alcohol for 10 days, see how you feel. During those 10 days, a lot happened to me in my life. And then I said, let's see what happens if it's 30 days and if it's 100 days. At the end of 100 days, I pissed off quite a few of my business partners, especially some of the oligarch friends that I was doing business with. They're like, what, you're not drinking with us? You don't trust us? What's going on, Gil? And I had to let go of some relationships. But I ended up getting some of these oligarchs calling me and saying, you know what? I want to meet you next week for tea, no alcohol. I want to try one day without it. And it was quite special for them to say, let's try one day.
Wow, impact.
With that. Yeah, exactly. That was my impact. So today I'm trying to compete with the bars of the world. I'm trying to compete with all of these beautiful events that have an alcoholic bar on the left side. I want to see more beautiful tea bars being set up where people could drink cold brewed teas or some sort of a flower or herbal tea in a champagne glass in order to allow us to see different programs of human connection. What's your favorite drink?
Martini.
Martini. For me, it's a nice milk oolong that's been chilled. 1980s was a really good time to get the milk oolongs chilled, served in a wine glass. It's a good wine for a date. Try it out. And it's not a wine. It looks like a wine.
Sake is second
It's
favorite.
different. This is again alcohol from rice. I'm talking about trying something different.
One of the things that, you mentioned these tea bars, it sounds like a great idea, but how they be different from tea houses? All right. What's the business? Well, let's say, I mean, sounds like an interesting idea. What would be the concept?
I come from a background of investing because of passion, not because it makes sense from a business point of view. No, no, no. You banking background. I'm sure you look at the
I
financial
I do
models
I
very,
do
very
I do,
deeply.
but I also invest on the. Well, I will tell you what. I'm sorry. I'm going to. I've been investing in art since I was like 15 years old. Since I moved to the United States, and probably could have had, you know, very like diverse collection, but there's a particular style that I loved. And it had nothing to do, and I kept on investing in style. So I have Miro, I have Dali in my collection in New York. I love Surrealist. But at the same time, from there on, I invested into young artists and invested only with heart and eye, like just an eye, right? Not because I thought that this something that is of incredible value will be of incredible value, but I invested in art because I loved it. And that in large later, I guess, was supported by my, you know, work on Wall Street and analytics and so on and so on. And yes, you're right. I do look, but I have to like the project. Even if I don't like the project, even though the numbers would make sense, I will say no.
It's very beautiful because you're investing in people. You know,
Right.
you're investing in the right people that inspire you, and that person created an art that inspires you. For me, I've invested in mobile app companies, and I had two tech companies in Ukraine, and we tried a food distribution company, and I did very well in the restaurant industry in Moscow, and we tried these different businesses in Dubai, and I've had them. The reason I call them successful failures is because, yeah, I know what it means to make $1 million in a day from one of my businesses, but I also know how to lose $1 million in a day because of a bad decision. And because of all of these businesses, it all came down to understanding, well, I don't want to do business for money. But in order for the business to flourish, scale, impact the world, the business needs to have money. So it became kind of a secondary, but it became very, very important because I'm not driven by money. You know, I like how you're saying you didn't hire a lot of people. I'm into hiring people.
No,
And
I
now,
hired a lot of people. I fired not many.
fired not
I
many.
fired not
Okay.
many. I
That's
hired
good. That's
many, many
good. Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. So for me now, I bring in partners who are much more hungry for money than I am. And it's worked out really well in the world of tea because the world of tea, being about $280 billion market, a very fast growing market in the world. It's we've been studying it for the last year and a half. As a scientist, I put on a scientist hat to study what is going on in the world of tea, what is working, what is not working. I studied 18 different revenue models to understand how people are making money in the world of tea. Whether it was the tea tourism or selling of the tea, or the distribution of the farmers, or it's something connected to education, which I love the most, or whether it was the tea houses. And I learned that most people in the tea industries are missing this business knowledge, this know-how, this strategic mindset that I have. I saw that a lot of them are in the business because of passion, but they don't necessarily have experience in other
Big problem
industries.
with entrepreneurs and
They're very
always.
focused on their own industry. Now, one of my best mentors, I gotta say even bigger than Tony Robbins, is Jay Abraham. And Jay Abraham is one of the most famous entrepreneurs or famous teachers in the world of business strategy. And he's someone that Tony introduced me to as like, hey, this is my business strategist. Tony said to all of us in the audience, this guy, Jay Abraham, he's the business strategy guy. Jay, shout out to you, brother. And Jay taught me early on, hey, if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur and you love being a coach, Gil, learn from many other industries. So don't focus on one thing. Try to learn from other industries. And today, when I come into the world, like, you know, you and I are talking a lot about real estate investments right now and how do you bring in people in. I know nothing about development and I don't know anything about real estate investment, but I know a lot about how do you get someone to want to invest money in something. I know a lot about how to build community. How do you get loyalty around those people? How do you get referrals for people? And what we've done in the world of tea is we decided to lead education. So currently we're the leaders in education in the world of tea. So if anybody wants to learn how to set up a tea house or be a tea sommelier, a tea barista, a tea master one day, or something we call tea angels, they come through us. We are the leaders in the world. In order to fulfill my passion for events, and in order to give all of these new coaches and new baristas or someone that wants to now be a tea server, they want to be in that business, in order to give them momentum, we created something called Chatea Social Infusions, which is where the bars come in. So we can go into any event, whether it's a big corporate event, a wedding, a massive seminar, and we're basically setting up an epic networking zone where we don't have tea with a tea bag, but we have these beautiful people drinking flower teas and herbal teas and old Chinese teas out of cognac glasses.
The tea party.
Yeah, exactly. So the Boston Tea Party was very, very important in the world. And I think that that's we're going through right now. We're going through a revolution. I like that some of my friends and mentors are calling me a pioneer in a tea renaissance. Yes to that, please.
Wonderful. So the idea, is there an idea in the future to make some kind of a place, a visit place? Tell me, like, so even Tony Robbins, I know he travels the world, but is there an idea to make like permanent places where, you know, think-alikes can come together, maybe for the tea party? I mean, as a potential expansion.
Some of my mentors have been pushing me for the last 2 years. Gil, you come from the hospitality background. Open up the most epic place in the world where the greatest networking can happen. Really, really deep, meaningful networking. And I'm someone that I don't know where it came from or what point in my life I understood that I don't want to reinvent the wheel. There's too many places in the world right now who don't have traffic. There's too many places in the world that need people to come into them. So for me, I decided for now at least, instead of creating another tea house, to identify the greatest tea houses in the world.
But not tea house.
But I can also identify fitness clubs or yoga centers. I also identify hotels. We've also identified real estate developers that have showrooms that are empty and no one is there. And I was like, hey, we can actually organize some sort of an educational event. And because I'm not into alcohol, I'm only willing to set up some kind of an epic event and bring amazing people into it, but I don't want alcohol there.
Right, but because I truly think that a stationary place, simply just tea for schmoozing, may not be enough.
Hey, brother, I'm telling you, man, I can argue that one from a professional point of view. First of all, we're both professional schmoozers. Yeah, we can both write books about this stuff, and I've written some things about schmoozing 101. But I can...
No, this is incredible, Bob.
I can easily today argue why the world is leading in a direction where meaningful connections will happen over a cup of tea much more than over a glass of wine. And we're going in that direction in the world. I'm now a partner in a movement called Human Garage. They've brought me in to overlook at the entire community. And they have about 150 million active members around the world. And if we're looking at the world right now, everything connected to wellness is now becoming a lot more sexy. People, younger generations don't want to go to a club or a bar to meet people. They want to go to a biohacking club. The gyms have transformed themselves to wellness clubs where you don't go there to work out. You go there to stay healthy and connect with people.
You know why paddle is popular now? Because it's not two people. It's four people. It's an enclosed space.
Breaks. It's a lot of breaks. People are talking.
Interaction. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a new golf. Like when I was in my 20s, I got into golf in England.
Right.
I used to be in the banking industry in the beginning of my early 20s in England. And in order to network with other bankers, I had to learn how to play golf in Harrogate, in the northern part of England, where there's castles all around in front of you, and you have to learn how to play golf. And it was not about the golf. I got so nervous. I remember I was 21 years old, and I was told that next week there's going to be some sort of a golf tournament, and it was very unique because at that stage of my life, because of some networking, I was the most senior person in the company that I was with, and I was the representative of that company in the board of Link. And Link is the government of all the banks of England. So officially, happy to say that, I am the youngest person to ever be a member of Link, ever. And I was there for a year and a half. And as the youngest member, most people are in their 50s and 60s, and I'm in my 20s. I'm a little boy trying to like network with them, and I had no idea what I was doing.
A little Jewish boy in the
Totally, I had no idea what I was doing.
On the golf course.
But I wanted to learn how to play golf. So before that tournament, I went and I learned how to play golf. I found some mentors. And I learned that day that most of them are awful at golf.
Awful.
And it was they don't know what they're doing. And I was the only one taking it so seriously. Yeah. And that was my mistake. I took the golf too seriously and I was trying to win. And I didn't understand that.
That could be a bad idea also.
That was a very bad idea for me, but I didn't know what I was doing because it was not about it. It was about the schmoozing. It was about the networking.
Absolutely.
Paddle is the same thing. Paddle, if you play with the right people, you don't want to beat them. You don't want to win necessarily. You want to play hard, and sometimes you want to win. Sometimes you want to let them win. Tea, I find, based on the history that I've done, because it's thousands of years old. Back in the days,
paddle tea house.
I don't know about that. I don't know. We can look into it. You can have tea after paddle. I don't know if that goes well together. But tea was there thousands of years ago in order to take our swords down and put them down under the table.
Right.
In order to not have our armor on us when we're connecting with people. Even at paddle, it's still a competition. Sports is still a competition. Alcohol, in some cases, is a competition to see how much can you drink and still stay strong on your feet. And what I've been taught when I lived in Russia, you're drinking alcohol not necessarily to build friendship. You're building alcohol to let go of your armor and to just be open with each other, to be transparent with each other.
Exactly.
But that's not fair, because why do I need to take on poison into my life to let the armor down? Where culturally, if you go back thousands of years, the samurai would sit down, would walk into the tea house, they would leave their armor and their sword outside.
Right.
And I love doing the same thing with any tea table these days. I will ask you to leave your phone off the table.
Right.
The phone today is that weapon. The phone is a distraction. A phone disconnects us in the most awful way. That's why, again, I have a love-hate relationship with AI. I love AI.
What's your deal with, you have young kids. What's your deal with the phone and kids?
So first of all, I love having tea time with my kids. Highly recommend it. Have tea time with your kids. Oh my God, it's so beautiful to do that. But if we think about it, little girls in the movies love having imaginary tea time.
Right.
Where is that from? Where did they learn that from?
Culture.
Why, if you go into China to any meeting, they serve you tea right away? Where is that coming from? Right. Why in the West, we lost that, and in the West, it's about taking tea to go, and tea is rushed. Tea is all about the tea bag, and most people leave the tea bag for too long. With kids, I find there's this balance of teaching them about presence, and teaching them about just, hey, let's just slow down for a little bit and let's see if we can have some tea time. And my kids loving having tea time. Even now when they're away in Moscow with Chatea, my partner, we're still able to get on Zoom and have tea time. They have their tea, I have my tea, and we're not being distracted by anything. And when they're here with me in Bali, I love having tea time with them so they know, one, Daddy doesn't have his phone anywhere near him. So I'm not going to look down at any point. I'm just going to give myself time. So I'll give myself an hour, whatever it really is, to just sit with them and talk about whatever comes up. And because of that, we have this balance between, hey, there's tea time, but there's also technology time sometimes. I do believe in technology for kids at all different ages. I believe that screen time needs to be managed. So how much screen time is very, very important. I believe depending on the kind of kids you have, like, I know I have ADHD and dyslexia and all these other things that my parents were told is wrong with me. Today, I know that these are superpowers I have.
Absolutely.
And I've learned how to play with them as superpowers. So I know that my kids also have some of these. That my son, I could see that he's got some things from daddy. So what I do is when we allow screen time, we also limit what they're doing. So I like to allowing them, like if they want to play a game, let's play that game for 20 minutes and they'll put a timer on the iPad for 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, they got to do something else. So they got to go and maybe read a book for 20 minutes. So it's not on the clicks too much. They're not too focused on the screen. The screen is not a replacement for human interaction.
Right.
The screen is
so how do you get them to focus? I mean, this is probably in anything, but kids, how do you get them to focus? I mean, here, it may be some this focus due to the fact that you don't want them to spend overtime on computers or telephone or so. So how do you get them to focus?
So we created a fun game at the
How do
house.
you get people to focus? Kids, or I think it probably is the same.
It's a really good question. I like that. So in the age of 16, I had a summer job to work in a kids camp. And I learned that I had something quite special inside of me that enjoyed working with kids. And for 2 years in a row, I took about 2 months over the summer and I went away. This was in Canada, in Montreal. And I worked in a kids camp. And in any given day, I had 20 or 30 kids that I was responsible for. And I learned at that stage that I have a lot of kid energy inside of me. And I saw that, hey,
I still do.
hey, still till today, this is why I love hanging out with my kids so much, which is why I love putting my adult responsibilities away. But this focus, first of all, I'm not the greatest person in focusing. I'm like, again, I don't want to blame the dyslexia and the ADHD, but focus for me, first of all, is the allocation of time to what it is that I love doing, what it is that I wish to do, what it is that I should accomplish, what it is that someone needs me to do. So I'm really good at calendar management, and I've actually empowered my assistant and my team to help overlook at my calendar. So in my calendar, every single day, I'll have something called GP time, Gil Petersil time. You can't put anything in there, team. So they know that's my time and allows me to just do whatever it is that I want to do, whether it's meditation, whether it's just in flow, following up with people, whether it's going for a walk in the park and just being in nature a little bit. Every single day I have some time that I want to follow up with my kids because they're not here right now. So I want to give them time and I want to just send them a message. I love sending them video messages to stay in touch with them. For me, focus is the ability to get shit done. And I like getting a lot done in my life. I like being very, very productive. I like that in this
But how do
lifetime
you
I've managed
get
to get so much
kids
done.
to focus? How do you get kids to
So
focus?
we have cards at home that we printed out with the kids. So I went with my kids one day. We were all sitting on the bed in the morning. It was like, I remember it. So it was a beautiful Saturday morning. Kids come to me are like, what do we want to do today? And I'm talking to them and they're telling me that they want to do the same thing we did last weekend. And I'm like, hold on, guys. We need diversity. We need to focus our energy on something else. And we went on Google Images and I started asking them, what do you guys love doing? And they came up with all these words and we wrote them down. And then we took this other exercise and every single thing they love doing, we put into Google Image and we printed out one picture that helped them understand that this is something they love to do. And we printed out all these different cards of things they love to do. And then what we do right now, it's if it's a day off, for example, I'll ask them in the morning before we're eating breakfast, take all of these cards that you have and show me what you want to do today. Show me where you want to focus your time on. And then we would break down the day into maybe 8 sections. And during each one of those sections would be a time that they would need to focus on something specific. Same thing when we go to school, they know that in the morning they need to focus on maybe 6 different things they got to do before actually leaving the house to go to school. When they come home from school, we know that there is anywhere between 5 to 10 different things that they could do before they go to sleep. And they could be little things. Brushing the teeth is something to do. Or helping mommy to organize your room is something to do. Or instead of mommy doing the dishes, now my 9-year-old daughter loves doing the dishes. Wonderful. Like in the past, they were all very, very spoiled because we have all these helpers at home doing everything for them. But right now, I like actually my kids learning how to do the dishes themselves. Or I like that my daughter is getting very passionate about cooking. I love cooking so much, but I've not given any focus to cooking for years already because we have people doing it for us. So I help my kids focus on what it is they love and what it is that needs to be done.
How does that translate into non-kids world, business? So how do you get people to focus?
It's a really good question. How do you get people to focus? How do you get your team to focus?
First of all, every employee that I have or ever had, we always there is a KPI-based strategy, business development strategy with them. Always follow up, like to follow up myself, and compliment on whatever is accomplished. I think it's very important, even if the person did not accomplish everything, it's important that they've done something. Well, in some cases they don't, but in 90% of the cases with me, I think it's properly structuring the request, right? So what it is it? So they need to be very, very clear and feedback, not just okay, just go do thing. Just read, tell me what it is that you want to do and what will be the end, what will be the result that you want to accomplish. So I think that focusing people on particular task at hand, following up, complimenting, always will be a big plus on a second, third, fourth, fifth project that they're going to accomplish.
I love that. I'm
so again,
very
you
aligned
go,
with that. Whereas the asking questions, I think, is important.
yeah,
I like asking them questions that would help them see what they're not seeing. Instead of
absolutely,
me telling them that I see it, I don't want to be the smart guy in the room all the time.
right,
It's very, very important that I allow my team to think that and to feel that they are stronger than me in some aspects of the job. I like asking them questions that would get them to look deeper in that. Get
right.
them to focus. Again, Tony Robbins taught me where focus goes, energy flows. So if I want their energy to flow in one direction in my company, I help them focus their direction towards that space.
Right, exactly.
It helps, but I like what you were saying about the complimenting them, acknowledging them for something that they've done. If I want someone to focus in a direction, I compliment them on something they did in that direction already. I try to see the greatness in what it is that they do, because I find that as humans, it's very easy for people to see what's wrong. And I know I've been in that position a lot where someone did something so great, and I spend very little time telling them what you did is great, and I spend too much time telling them, well, what about the rest of it? What
Right.
else can we do? And now I'm trying to
Yeah,
balance
yeah.
things
You
out.
do
I
that.
don't want to be the asshole in the room. I've done that a lot in my life, and sometimes I still find myself doing that. And I think it's just because of my background. I see a lot more detail than most people do.
The other thing, I am a friend. So I am not that big boss that kicks your ass. And I do kick ass when things should be. Then I'm talking about this is like, extreme situations. But I've learned that if the people love working for you, if they love communicating with you, they will accomplish a lot more because they start to feel as part of the family. They start to feel that you're listening to them and you are, responding. This is really important.
What's your hack when things are not easy in the business? I'm sure that in the last few years, whether it was COVID, where is the world, Russia and Ukraine, I know you do a lot of business there. How did you get people to focus and stay motivated when things were really uncomfortable in the business?
There's always have to be the light at the end of the road. I mean, I run or co-run a private equity fund that invests in distressed investments. So as we all in regular business or in venture invest into people, here there's no more people. So 90% of the people that are there, we usually fire, just on the executive level, of course. So we need to completely rebuild. So it's hiring new management, so it's bringing in partners that you believe can actually execute something. And we've been incredibly successful in choosing the right people. And that's, I think, part of what I do best is choosing the right people. It's, building a business and managing a business is goal oriented. So you put something at the end, the candy at the end of the tunnel. And I think that during the tough times, you need to imply to people that, look, I mean, things are bad, but nothing, but there's still that.
It doesn't last.
It doesn't. You know what? It doesn't last when you stop paying money to people, right? The worst thing. So to me, the worst thing that can be done in any business or any difficult situation, you either cut your losses short or you support people that work for you. Okay. So to me, if I see, okay, this is, we're close to the end, and we've had that in our investments. Close to the end, there's nothing literally can be done. So instead of stretching out and seeing maybe somebody will help, no, you cut your losses short. So you say, "Pop, I need to close this. No more. Thank you everybody, and whatever." Otherwise, not paying salary to people because and not giving them clear understanding. Well, first of all, talking to people is very important, and very important for them to understand the situation, right? And very understand that, okay, we're doing okay now, but we see we have problems. These are the problems. Can we resolve? We're going to do our best to resolve them, but potentially we may not be able to resolve them. Okay, so get people prepared for the
I've been
worst,
there.
for the
Been there.
worst,
Yeah.
for the worst. And again, look at people and look at that. They have families. I've taken, I will not say millions, but a lot of money out of my pocket to support people in business situations and other situations, but especially people who work for me, people who believed in me. It's very important that they feel that I am that shoulder that will be there for them.
I love that. I've been in that position a lot in my life where I've had to be that friend for them. I've also been in a position in my life where I couldn't pay salaries. I didn't have the money to pay salaries, and people stayed committed and they stayed loyal and they stayed fully in because they saw the light at the end of the tunnel. They believed in the mission. They saw where it is that we're heading, and that for me felt really amazing. It felt like, I have people that have my back. They're not in it for the job, they're in it for the mission.
Also, I think one of the very important things, and I do it also in all the businesses, at least that I managed, if I see a person that is very important to me, and the person is really, impacting positively my business, I give shares to people. I give share to the top management. I give shares of business. I never ran a publicly traded company, but in private companies, I give small shares. But this is something that they have that to dividends or bonus that comes at the end of the year or at the end sometime. That really helps people to stay focused, to believe, because you're already no longer just a boss, you're a partner.
I love that. I'm going to try that a lot more. I've done it in the past with other people's businesses where I became a shareholder and they asked me to bring people in. With Chatea, I'm actually looking to give majority of the company away to investors, collaborators, advisors, and team members. It's a big part of 2026. What's the biggest part of 2026 for you?
Launching a real estate fund. For now, that's all I can talk about.
Oh, come on, really? You can't tell us more about that. And a question I love asking people in fun collaboration kind of discussions, what are the biggest type of collaborators you wish to attract into your life in 2026 and why?
It's a good question. I don't know if I truly have an answer, simply because there's a partnership that we're looking to establish now for this particular fund that we're launching in the first quarter of next year. We actually yesterday received a commitment from the Luxembourg fund manager to become the fund manager for the fund. So I've actually accomplished already something that I was working on this year. So I have a commitment of someone very respectable. I mean, we're launching, for real estate, $100 million fund is a small fund, right? I mean, usually, large funds, it's $1 billion plus. But this guy manages $2 billion in European real estate investments and now coming to Southeastern Asia to manage this fund. So this is a huge positive for everything that potentially could be structured further. So I've actually, in part, accomplished, because I'm in larger looking to divest, not invest, in a sense, right? Divest, I'm not by selling, but really taking myself out of strong focus on some of the businesses. To say that there is a collaboration with you would probably be the strongest.
There you go. That's the answer I was looking for. Yes, I love it. I love such conversations I have with people because it's very much in flow. Nothing is scripted. Nothing is prepared. And I think that knowing you and what you've managed to do in your life, I'm always curious, and I'm apt to also answer the same question. But 2026, what are you most looking forward to, and what are you wishing the world to experience in 2026?
My main focus in 2026 is my family. Growing my family is probably one of the largest focuses. The things that I wish to the world, unfortunately, I don't see them resolving. I know, many people want, the finish of the war in between Russia and Ukraine. I would love that to happen. Will it happen? Many people believe that it will. And I pray to God that it happens, peace. I pray to peace, but nobody knows. I pray to peace in Middle East. I pray that things will get resolved, but historically and prognosing this into the future, is it happening now? And it will not happen. I think that it would be great to see some breakthroughs, real breakthroughs in medicine. Solving problems with sicknesses, with Alzheimer, with cancer. I think that, considering that people are thinking about their health much more, focusing on wellness, I think I would love for people. I started also in the last couple of months focusing on wellness and much more focused on my well-being. And though at 62, some people think that I'm 50 or maybe even younger, still need to understand that the body is still degrading in a certain sense. So there's definitely a great need for support. So what do I wish to people? I wish peace. I wish for them to focus on their health, truly focus on their health. Right? Not just, the big problem, and especially problem with men, right? We put things off. Right? I'm too busy. I'm supporting family. I'm, doing something. But if we don't focus ourselves, we cannot deliver. We cannot support our family. We cannot deliver goods and good to the world. Right? So the main focus, I think, for people, focus on yourselves, focus on your health.
It's beautiful, man. In the Jewish religion, on someone's birthday, they say that we have the power to wish upon others. And one of my biggest teachers was Geshe Michael Roach, who wrote the book Karmic Management. And he says that if you're able to wish upon others, you will receive it as well. If you're able to serve others, if you're looking to achieve something in your life, help others to do that. So for me in 2026, I wish for more people to collaborate positively. I wish for more people to see greatness in others. I wish for more people to help others become healthy. I wish for more people to serve others tea so that they could also be served, whatever it is that they wish to be served. I wish for more people to give money to others, not to expect anything in return, but just to give money to others as much as possible. And I really wish for more people to just find happiness and gratitude and the network they already have around them, because we have incredible people around us. We just forget to be grateful for them. And that is the joy that I want to bring. Because my name, Gil, means joy in Hebrew.
Joy,
so I want to bring more joy into the world in 2026.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time, and let's try to do this more often.
Yeah, thank you, brother.